Hi, hello. I'm here to review my 2023 K-dramas. I've watched over 100 K-dramas. I think I have the qualifications. So here I go. This is not in an actual number 1. This was my favorite K-drama that I watched. Number 2. This is not like that. It's just 14 shows out of however many I watched. This whole year. And I'm just going to talk about them. So, here we go. Number 1, not actually, is a show called Moving. It is a superhero drama. It was very different. It was original I've never seen a show like that. It starts basically, the plot is just these two kids that have superpowers. They meet and become friends. They're absolutely adorable. I loved them so much. And then as this time goes on in the show, you find out their parents' backstory. You find out who they worked for, and some of them are being hunted because of their superpowers, because of these corporations and these people that are trying to find them, whatever. It's really interesting. It's 20 episodes, so it's kind of long, but it's good. The end hinted at a second season, so here's hoping. I'd honestly rate it probably a solid 9 out of 10. Also, I'm very generous with my ratings. I will say that I'm not good at being oh, this felt like a 7. I'm it was probably a 10, unless it was really, really bad. Okay, the next show I want to talk about is Bloodhounds. This one was also really good. It's about these two guys. Oh gosh, how do I explain this? So basically, one of the main characters, his mom ends up getting taken advantage of by a loan shark, and then so she then owes a bunch of money to this really bad guy. And it's basically these two guys. It's kind of like the scrappy underdogs fighting the bigger power type of thing. That's basically the plot. It's really good, very good friendship, very good bromance. I loved the two main leads. They were adorable. They had such good chemistry, so cute. Very emotional also. It's pretty sad. Overall, I would say, again, 8 out of 10. There is parts of the plot, I will say. My only complaint about it is it's a little bit boring at times towards, there's some episodes it's just not a lot happens, it feels like sometimes, but overall, it's pretty action filled. There's just because here's the thing. I watch all my shows first, right? And then I usually show them to my sister and my friend. And when I rewatch these shows, sometimes I realize that they're kind of boring, and I didn't realize how boring they were until I rewatched it. So I think that's my issue, is I watched them too close together, and then that's the whole thing. But anyways, overall, very good. I guess I really can't even say it was boring. I'm thinking back, and I'm there were some points where I was okay, let's get back to the plot. There's so many conversations, whatever. Okay, the next one to talk about is Exclusive Fairy Tale. Now, this is a Chinese drama. I've only watched, I think, 2 to 3 Chinese dramas in my whole show history. This one is adorable. It's literally a story about it's just like a friends to lovers. That's literally it. It's two kids that grew up together that fall in love. That's essentially it. It's really cute. So I am also super into K-pop. It has a member from one of my groups, 17. His name is June. He is an actor as well, and was an actor when he was a kid before he was an idol. And he is the lead male role. He's great at it. Also, the kiss scenes were super good. Also, I really, really like the female lead, the Chinese actress. She's adorable and so cute and such good actors. And on that same note of that actress, she's in this other show that I watched called When I Fly Towards You. This one is super duper cute. It's like a school drama. Basically, it's a cute fall in love school drama friendship. It was honestly, it's so sweet. It's so nice. No drama. They don't break up, halfway through the show over some miscommunication. They get along, they communicate. It's great. I would rate both my Chinese dramas honestly the same. They're probably both 9 out of 10, if not 10 out of 10. They were both amazing. I felt so peaceful watching them. I didn't feel stressed. It was just a fun, enjoyable watch, okay? My hand is going numb. Okay. Anyways, next show. Okay, See You in My 19th Life. Now, this is one that I think is so good. It's a not time travel. Reincarnation drama. So basically, this woman remembers all of her past lives, and so she's on her 19th life, and in her 18th life, it was ended tragically when she died as a 13-year-old, and she was best friends with this kid, and so when she basically gains consciousness in her 19th life that she remembers her past lives, because there's always a point in her life when she remembers everything. when she like gains consciousness essentially in her 19th life, she's like, I gotta go find my friend and see if he's alive, because she didn't know if he died in the accident as well. And it's just their love story. It's so good. It's really good. Also, the show does make it make sense, because I know it sounds kind of weird, like, wait, she's ready for membership pass, like, whatever. It's really good. I love the male lead. He's amazing. I love the female lead. They're both great. Okay, so that's that one. Now, this year, I watched DP2. I was informed that anyways, we're not going to talk about that. This show is about, it's like a military police show. I'm sorry. I found out that that means something else, and I didn't know that, and I was confused why the show decided to call it that, but whatever, it's fine. I don't even remember what it is that it means, but we're just gonna stop talking about that. Anyways, so this show is okay, so it's the second season. The first season came out like in 2020 or something, so it had been a couple years since the first one. But it's about this guy that's in the military, and basically he's in this job where they have to bring deserters back. It might stand for like deserter patrol or something like that. I know it stands for something in the like military, but I don't, in the Korean military. I don't know what it stands for. Anyways, so the show's very emotional. It's very sad. Because a lot of the times the reasons that the soldiers desert, it's like really emotional, because they're either being like harassed, abused, bullied, something like that, or there's like there's always some reason, right? It's a very sad show. The acting is superb. It's kind of really violent though as well, so it's intense. It's an intense show, but I liked it. I really liked the second season. It ended on a slightly more hopeful note than you kind of would have assumed. Okay, now this is another show that I found that is the most random thing. Oh, my rating for DP. I would say, I'm sorry for the sounds. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for the mouth noises. Probably 10 out of 10, honestly. I was pleased with the show. I didn't have an issue with it. Okay, sorry. On to the next show. How to Buy a Friend. Now, this is it's a weird title. I will not deny that. But basically, I'm trying to actually remember what even happens. It's like this, it's kind of like I'm not even going to go too deep into the plot, because it's not a long show. It's a very short show. I think it was only 8 episodes, and they were only like half an hour-esque-ish. It was just a random find, and it ended up being really good. It actually made my list, because it was low-key a really good show. It's just like a drama mystery. There's like a crime aspect. I don't know. I don't really remember. They're like in high school. There's these kids. I don't know. I like the show a lot. I would probably give it a 9 out of 10. I know that was a horrible description, but I don't really know how to describe the plot, because I low-key kind of don't remember what even happened. Okay, now here we get on to a show that I have a lot of opinions on, so please bear with me. This is Worst of Evil. I was so excited for this show. I was literally losing my mind. I was so excited. As 2 of my favorite male actors as the main leads in this show. It is a crime, suspense, kind of not mystery, but like there's like a certain, let me just explain. Okay, so it's about this guy. He's a police officer that goes, police officer that goes undercover in this bad guy's gang. And I mean, you can kind of expect what happens. Of course, his morals start to slip, stuff starts to happen. Here's why I was frustrated with this show. It was really, really good up until towards the end of the show, because they started the show with the police officer being married. So there's a point where he kind of, in theory, cheats on his wife. Not like actually, because he's obviously undercover, he's acting, it's all for a bigger cause, but it ultimately does come down to the fact that he low-key cheated on his wife. But the wife also low-key cheated on him, because she's also a police officer, and she ends up helping in his case, and it just so happens that the gang leader is her like first love, guy she knew from her childhood. So she reconnects with him to try to figure out what's going on, because like ultimately the wife's whole goal is to like get her husband out from undercover so he's not in danger anymore. And obviously his whole goal is, finish the mission so he can like finish the job or whatever, so he can like not have to do this anymore. So the whole thing is like, there was so much discussion about the show of like, yeah, he totally cheated, yeah, she totally cheated, and I was like, I don't really think either of them cheated, because what they were doing was they were doing their job, they were doing it undercover, they were doing, what am I trying to say, their job was to be undercover, and they were doing that. That's what I was trying to say. So I don't really think you can consider it cheating, but it really tainted the show for me, because I was like, this is so frustrating to watch. Like, it was also just like sad watching, because they were both so like they were both so like miserable in the situation, and like, oh, what do we do? And yeah, anyways, and then the show ends on a really horrible note. So it was good up until that point. I still think it makes my list though, because it was still a really well made show, and let me tell you, both of these male actors, oh my gosh, they're so hot. I need you to understand. They are so hot, and oh, it was so good. That part of it was great. Okay, move on to that. Okay, now this is another show that I really, really liked. I just really didn't like one of the main characters. So this is a show called Twinkling Watermelon. It's a cute time travel, romantic comedy, school-esque drama, teenage drama, kind of whatever. So basically it's about this guy that he grew up with deaf parents and a deaf brother, and he wanted to play music, but his dad like didn't understand or whatever. And then there was this whole thing where he had like a whole fight with his dad, because he was like hiding the fact that he was in a band. And then him and his dad they got into a fight, and then he ends up leaving all mad, and then he ends up actually going back in time to when his dad was 18. So now they're the same age. He goes back to 19 something. I can't remember. 94 or something. I don't know. Of course, now I can't remember the actual time he goes back. Anyways, he goes back in time, meets his dad as a teenager, and meets his mom, and there's a lot of stuff. There was just this side female character that I didn't like. Well, she wasn't even a side character. She was like kind of a main character. Main character that I just didn't like, because her motives I just felt were just not good for most of the show. Because there's another, what am I trying to say? She goes back in time as well. There's another girl that goes back in time, whatever, it's a whole thing. I just didn't like her. Now, one of the things I did like, I absolutely loved the relationship between the father and son when they were the same age, when they're both like 18. I was obsessed with the relationship between the husband and wife in the show, because both of his parents are in the show as adults, and then they're also in the show as teenagers, and that part of it was so good. That was like one of the best parts of the show. Oh my gosh, sorry. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I just really didn't like the one girl character, because her motives was just awful the whole show, and I was like, I don't care. Anyways, overall very good. I would give that one probably a 9 out of 10. I don't know if I rated Worst of Evil, but honestly, I'd probably give it like, for the way it ended, like a 7 out of 10, but quality of the show was higher, but I'm going to stick at a 7 out of 10 just because I really didn't like the end. Okay, on to a show that I was absolutely so obsessed with. I don't think you understand how good this show was. It's called Perfect Marriage Revenge. It's literally about this woman who grew up in this household being not loved. She was adopted into this household. She grew up with her mom and her sister and her dad. It's just not a great relationship. No one treated her well. She was just like a super sweet girl, very naive, very just like, you just feel bad for her, right? Also, what is on my hand? That is the question of the day. I think it's just pen. Anyways, sorry, got distracted. Anyways, so grows up in a loveless household, and then is in a loveless marriage. Ends up finding out, this was crazy, her husband married her because he's in love with her younger sister. Yep, you heard that right. So he literally only married her so he could be closer to the younger sister, which is just so freaking weird. So after she finds that out, her mom frames her for this, because her mom owns like an art gallery, and she basically blames her daughter and says that she was making like fake paintings or something. So she fully throws her daughter under the bus, makes it look like she's, committing crimes. It's this big scandal, whatever. So the daughter is just distraught, and then she dies. Or so we think. So we think she dies, but she actually she's like in a critical medical condition in the hospital. And then her mom pulls the plug on her life support. Yep, you heard that right. And basically just says the most horrible things to her. Basically like, oh, you're the worst. I hate you. Blah, 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 blah. In your next life, blah, 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 blah. Just creepy, terrible woman, right? And then you think she dies, right? She wakes up and it's a year before. So she basically gets to redo the last year of her life and get revenge on her at the time. Now it's her fiance, 'cause she obviously went back in time. She hadn't married him yet. So she dumps him, and then she ends up going to this guy that her sister wants to marry and is basically like, hey, do you want to help me get revenge? And he's like, slay, yes I do. And then they are super hot and adorable together, and oh my gosh, I love both of them so much. Anyways, there's a lot of other stuff. It's very like soap opera, but without the cheesy quality, because it's very dramatic, but it's so good. Honestly, that's a 10 out of 10. It was such a good show. I loved every episode. I looked forward to it every time it came out. I was like always excited. It had me shocked many times. Yeah, that one was great. That plot's insane. Okay, I'm almost done. So then we're on to, okay, now this is another second season. Now this is Sweet Home 2. The first season I really, really liked. It's like oh gosh, how do I explain it? It's like an apocalyptic monster show. So basically in the first season, it's these people that live in this apartment complex, and there's like this weird infection disease type of thing that's going around that's making people basically like turn into monsters essentially. What you find out in the show is that it's like some kind of weird curse thing. It's like they explain it in the show. It's a whole thing. But anyways, so that's like the basic plot, and then it's these people trying to survive. And you know how like in zombie apocalypse movies where it's like it always starts off with the zombies being the biggest issue, but it always ends with the humans being like the humanity of the humans being the biggest issue. It's the same kind of thing in the show where it's like the monsters end up almost taking, going into the back seat, whereas then the humans are the real issue that you have to deal with. Whatever. Okay, so the second season, I'm not even going to try to explain it because it was one of the most chaotic shows I've ever watched. There was so much going on. I was confused the whole time. The last 5 minutes were actually crazy and really made the whole show worth it. But yeah, the end was amazing. Everything else, I watched it with my friend, and we were so confused the whole time. We were like, what the heck is going on? What is going on? Anyways, so yeah, that show, it was great. It was good, but it was so confusing. So confusing. I would probably still give it like between an 8 and a 9 out of 10. It was still a really good show. There was a lot of good parts, but it was just so freaking confusing. Okay, here we go. We're almost done. I have 2 left. Oh, that's such a lie. I have 3 left. Oh my gosh. Okay. So the next one is Daily Dose of Sunshine. Now this show, oh my gosh, so good. It's very emotional. The acting is it's so good. Each story is so interesting. I watched it so fast. I'm usually a binge watcher with my K-dramas, but this one I watched so quickly because it was so good. It surrounds mental health, so it's very emotional. It's very intense. And also, I mean, from the very, very little bit that I've experienced of anxiety, I thought it was really accurate. So, I can imagine someone who's experienced some of the stuff that they talk about it being very accurate. I loved the female lead. She was insane. She was so good. Both male leads were great. There was a little bit of a love triangle, but not in a way that made you frustrated. It was more of it was a love triangle, but it also wasn't, and I have a whole thing about love triangles because I hate them. I think they're the worst. I think they're the laziest plot device. And I also think they can be really weird, especially when I'm sorry, this is a tangent, but when they do love triangles with characters that, 2 of the characters are brothers. Be so for real. You're telling me that I have to deal with 2 brothers having a crush on No, that's gross and it's weird and I don't want it. One person is stressful enough. I don't need 2 people who like me, okay? Anyways, that's my whole thing about love triangles. This one has it, but it's not that at all because the second male lead, sorry for the swallowing, is it's not super depressing and you don't hate him. Because sometimes you watch a love triangle where the second male lead, you just feel so, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for the sounds. Anyways, you feel super bad for him. And you're so sad because you're like, oh my gosh, you're so much better than the male lead. But in this show, it was just good. This was a 10 out of 10, 100%. Hands down. Probably one of my favorites I watched. I don't know if I should say ever, but it's in the top. It was so good. Anyways, okay, I have 2 left. So then I have King the Land, which I loved, got a lot of People complained about it a lot. A lot of people were whining about it. It's so boring, so boring. No, it's not. It got boring at the end. It wasn't boring during the middle or the beginning, but the end, I will admit, was kind of boring. Here's why. The show follows, what am I saying? I just lost my train of thought. The show follows, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I was going to say. I'm just going to change what I was going to say because I honestly don't know what it was. Wow, that was weird. Basically, the show is about this girl that works at this company, falls in love with the guy that's like the CEO. It's not a crazy original plot. Here's what made the show so good, though. Junho and Yuna are the male and female leads. They are both idols, and they've both known each other for over like 10 years, and they're friends. So their chemistry was insanely good. I was like on the edge of my seat every time they were in a scene together because they were so just so cute. I'm like, there's no way they're not in love in real life. There's no way. I would also honestly, in my rating, I would honestly probably say around a 10 for this show because it was honestly so good. Here was what I was going to say. While they were adorable in terms of like how cute they were, they also had no drama, which was also crazy. Like they didn't have a random breakup. They didn't have any like misunderstandings or miscommunications over stupid things that just like didn't do anything, right? There wasn't anything of that. And because they didn't have that, they then had to create drama through other parts of the plot, and then that ended up, I think, making it kind of boring. So I will say that the end was really boring. They should have almost made it shorter, I think, or just like cut some of the stuff they had out, or had him deal with some of his trauma beforehand, because like the main character had a lot of trauma, but it also wasn't even like that big of trauma, like compared to some of the shows I've watched. He just didn't deal with it until a while into the show, that's not bizarre, but like it was just weird that it took so long for him to just like, I don't know, deal with it. Anyways, that was the whole thing. But otherwise, it was a great show. The kissing scenes were some of the best I've literally ever seen in over 100 dramas. They were so good. And I honestly think that a big reason they were so good was because they have such good chemistry and because they're so close. Also, I'm convinced they're in love and they're going to get married. I'm literally convinced. Okay, sorry, I'm just trying really hard not to breathe into the mic. Okay, I have the last show. We're at almost 20 minutes. That's not bad, though. Considering 14 shows in 22 minutes, I think that's not bad. The last show I'm going to talk about is Good Bad Mother. Now, this one I watched. I wasn't even planning to watch the show because, like, most of the time when I know that shows are coming out, I have, like, a list. I'm like, oh, I want to watch this. I want to watch this. I was not planning on watching this. But I had seen some clips of it, I think, on, like, Instagram. And I was like, oh, this looks interesting. So I started it. Loved it. It was really good. Here's my issues with it. I should probably explain the plot first. Whatever. I'm going to talk about my issues first. I hated the mom. I hated the mom so much. I don't think you understand. She was so annoying. She was such an antagonist. I didn't mind her towards the end. She was okay towards the end, but that's only because she literally became actually a good person towards the end. Whatever. The whole story is about this guy. He's a prosecutor, and he has a horrible relationship with his mom. He's also kind of like just like ruthless. His mom kind of like, what's the word? Raised him a specific way, and then his behavior is like kind of low-key not the best. But anyways, basically what happens is he gets into a car accident and he loses his memory and he almost dies. Like the fact that he survives is crazy. He's in like a coma for a really long time and he loses his memory, but he also loses his like mental capabilities. I don't know how to explain it. Like he reverts back to basically the mind of a 7-year-old. Like that's where he loses his memory, so that's where his memories goes back to when he was 7. So he acts like a kid. He's like a grown man acting like a kid. And the plot is basically just his mom trying to be like, oh my gosh, this is a second chance. Like I need to reconcile with him. I need to make it right. So it's that her journey to do that, but it's also his journey to, because he's in a wheelchair for a lot of the show too, because he can't walk because he was so injured. So it's him learning how to walk again and learning how to just basically survive. And then there's like a whole side plot with his love interest, and then obviously it's also super complicated because it's like, oh, my love interest / basically my ex, not basically, it is his ex, is also now he's like acts like he's 7 years old. So that's a whole part of it, and it's crazy and emotional. So good. the main male lead was insane. He did amazing. He's such a good actor, and he had such good chemistry with the female lead. It's definitely worth it. I would 100% recommend it. It is frustrating, as I said, because of the mom, but for the most part, it's still just it's worth the time. Okay, that's it. I don't think I have anything else to add. I'm gonna see if I can upload this on YouTube. Girl, we're just gonna try, cause like, why the heck not? 2024, baby. We got new year. Pretty much the same me, but maybe a few slight adjustments. So, okay, bye. I'm gonna turn this off now. Boop.